Live in 3, 1. All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Multiverse Show, Season 5, Episode 15. Welcome to the greatest show on Mondays, coming at you live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, if you guys are watching or listening, rather, on Spotify or any place where you can find podcasts, we upload these shows on Tuesdays, so they're one day behind. But thank you guys for tuning into this show. We have this is one of those interesting weeks where we just have a bunch of news that just drops on Monday, and so we had a planned show before this even happened, and it was just like, oh, we always know there's gonna be at least one gaming topic that will pop up in here. We always know that's gonna happen. This time we just got slammed, and there's a ton of stuff we're gonna cover. We're gonna try to get through that as much as we can. We do have the Falcon versus Winter Soldier spoiler cast as promised. We're gonna put that at the end of the show if time allows. I don't feel like there's a lot of stuff to talk about there, but there's a lot of good things in terms of gaming topics we want to cover first and foremost. We have our introductions for the evening. First and foremost, we have the Caesar of Cinema, the Baron of Brittain himself, coming at you in a quieter tone of voice than usual, Mr. James Wilson.
Hello, everybody. This isn't me doing like a special nighttime radio kind of thing. It's just there's something up on my mic. So today everything's a little more chilled out, and I was gonna do a whole thing, and I completely forgot to riff on anything. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you.
All right. We also have the White Wolf himself, Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey, it is good to be here. We got a lot to get into, so I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to quit yapping. Well, let's go. Let's dive in, bros.
And we have a guest to the show who we haven't had on in a good long while, coming at you, Mr. Tony Polanco, a.k.a. Romadeth.
What is going on, guys? Ivan, Samuel, James, good to be here. This is going to be fun. I'm the counter to James. I'm going to be the really loud guy, so yeah. But no, we got a lot to talk about, so this is going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on. Like you said, it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to get things rolling here. But first off, as we ask every single week, and we'll get our Returnal impressions in here now. I know you guys, right, I always ask, what have you guys been playing this week? We'll start with James. I don't know if you got a chance to play Returnal yet. Have you?
No, I am fervently going to wait until I get a PS5 to play this game. It just seems like the right thing to do. I haven't been playing anything new. I replayed a little bit of the Village demo from Resi that we talked about. Watched some footage of that. Haven't played or looked at Castle because my copy is on order, and I am going to be playing that game day one. It's a very rare occurrence that I play a game day one and can actually talk about it, but we're going to do it next week.
Excellent. And myself, I've been playing Fallout 76 because they uploaded it and stuff. But I know Sam, Tony, you guys have been playing Returnal. Please fill us in. What have you guys?
Yeah.
What's your impressions on this?
Tony,
right.
You're our guest. You go first on this one. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, if you see my Twitter, you already know. Like, how do I begin? All right. I did a preview of this game. I didn't do a review because I didn't finish it. Like, by the way, that was some discourse going on today. It's like, no, you don't need to finish games to review them, right? But in this case, me and my editor decided, no, let's just do a preview. But the reason I haven't finished is because playing this game is like beating my head against the wall, right? Like, as what it's trying to do, it does it very well, right? This is from House Mark. They're known for pretty much like shoot 'em up hell games, right? So in that sense, this is a shoot 'em up hell / Metroidvania game. Does that very well, roguelike, all that. But I've never been a fan of the roguelike genre, and I was hoping that this would be the game to change my mind. It has absolutely not. Like, the way I see it, I'm like, okay, I've been playing video games since the late 1980s, where, when you die, you go all the way back to the beginning, got to do the whole game over again. That was fine when I was 8 years old. I'm an old man now. I got like other things to do. You got to respect my time. So I'm not trying to play a game for 3 hours straight, die, and have absolutely nothing to show for it. So again, I'm not knocking the game. I think the game is excellent for what it is. And I hope people who are playing it are enjoying it. People who it's catered for. But for me and people of like, similar dispositions, this ain't it, man. It is too much for very little gain. So I'm not playing anymore. I put in like close to 32 hours. I'm like, you know what? Why the hell? Here's the again. I'm old, right? I'm at a point where if something doesn't make me happy or it's wasting my time, I'm done with it. Going to something else that does make me happy. So I'm regretfully, and I do regret it. I regretfully have to just step away from this game and just leave my preview as is, not bothering with a full review because I don't want to subject myself to that shit anymore. I don't know if I could curse, but I don't want to subject myself to that anymore. So I'm done. I'm done.
All right. Sam, what's your impressions on this, man? What are your thoughts on Returnal? I know. You almost missed our D&D session this weekend because of it.
Yeah. It's spilling the tea on me, but I mean, he's right to do so because I was beating my head against the wall, like Tony said, with one of these bosses. And then Ivan DMs me and he's like, hey, D&D. I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing that. That's the thing. Everything else in my head, gone. Just nothing else. Here's the thing. I'm a little softer on it than Tony is because I like what Returnal is going for. The world, the setting, the alien designs, Celine, the story they're going for. It's really cool. I really like it. It's probably, Tony, I don't know if you agree with this, probably the best use of the DualSense outside of Astro's Playroom.
Absolutely. And just to jump in on real quick, one of the things when I was playing Astro's Playroom, I was so impressed by the DualSense features, but I was like, I want to see a game use these features in a more subtle way. Returnal does that, and it's fantastic. Like, you feel like the raindrops, but it's not overbearing. That's just little light raindrops. When you dash, you feel it. When you shoot guns, and the fact that you have to hold the triggers just halfway to shoot normal, then all the way to shoot the special shots, the alternate shots, and then when you got to squeeze R2 to shoot faster. All that stuff is fantastic. So I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I love so much of it. It has so much going for it. The environments and like the statues and this lost alien race. It reminds me of like Prometheus or Alien, like good sci-fi that I enjoy. Sci-fi stories that I enjoy.
That is my language.
The problem is at the end. Yeah, no, I told you, Ivan. I told you this world is up your alley. The problem is Tony's correct. Playing this game is like beating your head against a wall. I really hate to bring up it's Dark Souls comparison, but because I've seen some people saying this, here's the difference. Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, any of those games, you can grind your way to victory. You can grind your way, and those character level ups stay with you. You collect a weapon in Dark Souls, it stays with you. If I spend 2 hours grinding in Returnal to increase my health and then I fail at the boss, I've lost everything. There's nothing left. I don't get it. Like there's a very tiny handful of like mobility upgrades, like a grappling hook. When you beat one of the bosses, you get a grappling hook that lets you get around the environment better, and that stays with you. Or like the katana, that stays with you, and that's cool. But then you marry that with the fact that a lot of people, myself included, are having crashing problems where like if the game doesn't autosave. Game doesn't save. What you're supposed to do is put your PS5 into rest mode, and then in rest mode, you can keep on playing from there later on. The problem is it's not working as intended. Multiple people, including me, have lost their progress. I've lost it twice like that. So you have this brutally punishing game that takes a long time to do runs, and you can't put it down. It's like a perfect storm of problems. I'm going to keep with it. I'm going to try and make it a little further, but I'm definitely getting that sense of looming depression whenever I play of like, please, God, can I please make some progress? And again, I think that sucks because I think Housemarque has crafted a wonderful game at the end of the day. It's kicking my butt 7 ways to Sunday.
Yeah, I know that was the point where I saw a lot of people were saying that it was crashing on them and just like losing that effort and that time. I was like, I'll wait. I'll wait. Yeah.
Do you not think that like this build up of try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, do you not think that the inevitable time that you will get that flawless run, do you not think that
What was that? You cut out a little bit for me.
You cut out, yeah.
grinding? So I'm saying, do you not think that like this game might create like one of the greatest gaming memories that you have when you're able to put a full run together and beat it? Or do you think is it too punishing against the player that when they finish it, instead of yes, they'll be thinking finally?
Yeah, it's the finally. It's that every time I've beaten a boss, I'm like, finally.
Yeah.
You know, I've never felt satisfaction or anything. Like every time I surmount an obstacle, I'm like, oh, thank God. You know, so that's the feeling I get.
No, I think it's the same thing for me. It's like oh geez, I can start sweating, I can breathe again. I can let me stretch my legs, and it's like, again, I want to emphasize that sucks because I like so much of what this game has going for it, far more than I expected to. But the highs aren't high enough to combat the lows right now, and that's kind of reaching its peak for me.
I mean, that is perfectly like in putting you in the situation of the pilot. So I guess
but I also think it's kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think again, like the fact that nothing carries over or very little carries over when you die and then you start back again. The fact that I don't know, it just needed something. It needed to give in some way, somewhere. Hades is one of the most popular roguelikes on the planet, and one of the biggest reasons that is the case is Hades has something called God mode. And it's optional, but if you enable God mode, you get just a tiny bit stronger every time you die. So even if you lose that perfect run in Hades and you lose a ton of progress, you go, well, you know what? I'm a tiny bit stronger than I was before. So maybe I'll give it a shot and do a better job this time. I think Returnal needed something like that.
Yeah, it definitely did. Because again, you know, and here's the other thing, right? Hades, you know, from what I understand, because I haven't played the game, a run can last you 40 minutes. That's not too bad, right? 40 minutes. A typical run in Returnal is 2 hours. That's typical. That's a lot. Like if you got like, that's too much. It's too much to ask people to just sit there, you know. And again, because who are most gamers nowadays? Most gamers are adults. We're busy. We're doing shit, you know. So it's too much to ask. Like, but at the same time, you know, and I'm not trying to derail the conversation too much, but you know, because I have seen conversations, people talk about, oh, they need to include a easy mode or something like that. I don't agree with that because like this is Housemarque's vision, right? So let it do what it's going to do, but at the same time, that vision is not for everybody. But that's also okay. I'm not really with the idea that every game needs to be for everybody. Absolutely not. Some games are made for specific audiences. It just so happens that I'm not the audience for this game, you know?
Yeah, I know that feeling. All right, for the sake of time, we got a couple things that we're going to jump on through real quick. I'm just cutting it off as fast as I can here because we get a lot of stuff to cover. We're going to move over to a trailer that was dropped by Marvel Studios today. They showed off basically their plans for Phase 4. There's a lot of stuff. I'm trying to get the list here. So
I have the list.
Not only do they show the list, wait, James, you got the list?
I do have the list.
Oh, you do have the list, sir. I'll default to you then, sir. What is the list, and more specifically, the release dates for these upcoming films?
Well, first of all, a lot of this stuff we already knew was coming. They had previously announced that there was going to be a sequel to Black Panther. Unsurprisingly, it made $1 billion worldwide. You're going to make a second one. What we didn't know was the actual name of it. We thought maybe just Black Panther 2. Why broke? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it is going to be called Wakanda Forever. The quotes from Lupita Nyong'o and director Ryan Coogler saying that it's a very, very respectful tribute and also continuation of the legacy of Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa. That will be coming out in July 2022. We're going to get a bunch of... It just sounds nice. This isn't in order, by the way. We got no footage from Doctor Strange, just a little animated thing of the logo itself. March 25th, 2022. So, you know, only 3 months between Doctor Strange and Wakanda Forever. That's going to be a jarring jump from the madness of the multiverse to Africa. What else in that year? Yes, the announcement of Captain Marvel and what she's going to be doing next in a slightly odd turn. The film is called The Marvels, with an S, which, you know, fair enough. Sequel, add an S, why not? Seems to be that this is how they're going to they're going to introduce Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, to the movies. She has her own series that is supposedly coming out later this year. Also, that's probably where we're going to see the next stop for Monica Rambeau, last seen leaving Earth at the end of WandaVision. Spoilers for a show that everyone here has watched. We had a little thing of Guardians, no extra news other than the release date to be May 5th, 2023. And the only other release date that was announced was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which, what a name. Quantumania, not Quantum Mania, Quantumania. Who knows what that film's going to be, but I'm excited for it, and that's going to be February 2023. But the big news that everyone's talking about is the film that's coming out at the end of the year that we've seen very, very little from.
Oh, you forgot the Eternals.
That's what I'm talking about right now.
Oh, yeah, that one. I thought you were talking about the one I'm excited about.
Oh, are you talking about Spooderman?
No.
What are you talking about?
We'll talk about that later then. Fine.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was talking about the Eternals. We finally got something from the visuals. We don't know anything about the story really, unless you know the comics, which I don't. We got 2 or 3 shots, a little establishing shot of the group standing together, and Angelina Jolie holding a cool-looking sword. I mean, it looks like a Chloe Zhao film based on the 3 or 4 shots that we've seen. Go watch Nomadland; it's really good. And we already knew the release date for Spider-Man, No Way Home. I can't remember what it is, but that's public record. You can go and see it. Oh, I know what you're talking about, Ivan. It's here on my list. I just hadn't scrolled down to it. And right at the end, there was a big old 4. Just a big old 4 in a blue thing on the screen. Now, a lot of us are taking this to be the Fantastic Four. Some people are just thinking that Marvel are just teasing us, and this is just them going, "Yep, this is what the logo for Phase 4 is."
But they've never had a logo for the other phases.
I know, and that's why it's such a weird thing for people to be like, "Yeah, it's not the Fantastic Four; it's just like the logo for Phase 4."
They're being stupid.
What a stupid thing to say. Yeah. It's funny though, but you know, it is. Yeah, there you go. No news on the Fantastic Four. Nothing. I got nothing for you guys. There's speculation out the wazoo everywhere, but like none of it's concrete. None of it is from sources. It's all just like, yeah, maybe it's coming, maybe. But there you go. Ivan, go.
All right. So I'm super excited. Tony, I know we've talked extensively on Twitter about Fantastic Four, more specifically Doctor Doom. Finally,
yes,
solve the villain problem. Like finally. So I asked the guys if they would do a fan casting for Fantastic Four, and I don't think anybody did it except for me.
I have. The thing is, I realized I had actually done this with my friends months ago, so I have one ready.
Oh, please tell me yours, please. I ended up writing the first act of the movie. Please go ahead.
You've done more than me. This is not like Christmas Carol time where I came in massively overprepared. Absolutely the opposite. For Reese, I have Matt Smith. Most people know him as the 11th Doctor in Doctor Who. What's he done in America that people would know him from?
I guess The Crown.
That's like the only thing we know him from. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of things like him because he's been in American movies.
He's going to be in that Game of Thrones prequel. I know that.
He's going to be in Game of Thrones prequel. Yeah, he's Doctor.
He was also in Terminator Genesis.
He was in Terminator Genesis. That's why I don't remember it. But yeah, he's the Doctor after David Tennant, and I think he's really good. I love him as Doctor Who, the Doctor, I should say. I'll get crucified by British people if they hear me say that out loud. Yeah, he's an interesting actor. He's been in a bunch of good stuff. He was in Ryan Gosling's film, I think Lonely River, Lost River. That's the one. He was in a zombie film called Patient Zero with Natalie Dormer. That was quite good. He's a sort of an interesting dude, and he's got this like elasticity that you see him like doing as the Doctor, and maybe like just that, but now he's actually stretchy. That's my reasoning. For Sue Storm, I have Jessie Buckley. Most people know her for Wild Rose, which came out last year, about a country singer from Scotland who wants to become a big country star in America. She's great in that film. She got an Oscar nomination for the song. Oh no, she didn't. No, it was a BAFTA nomination. That's the one. She's interesting. I think Wild Rose is available on Amazon Prime in America. She was also in Judy, the Renee Zellweger film from last year, playing her manager in the UK. She's a big up-and-coming talent in British cinema. She came from British theatre and has transitioned to film. And I think a role like this would just up to the sky. And she's really talented. For Johnny, now, stay with me here, because I say his name a lot on these podcasts. I've gone for CM Punk. Now, I love professional wrestling, and I just think he'd be really cool. And I think they could, like, mess about with the ages a bit. Like, are Sue and Johnny twins in the comics, guys?
Not twins.
No, they're not twins.
She's like the older sister by like a little bit.
Well,
like
now she's the younger sister. Because I just want CM Punk in this movie. He's a cool dude, and I think him on fire with a motorcycle is just going to be fucking cool. Now, for The Thing, I've gone for Adam Sandler. Because I like him. I think he's a really, really talented actor. He
Are
can
you taking
do...
Uncut Gems a little too far?
No, I'm taking Punch Drunk Love a little too far, sir. Because Adam Sandler is a really talented actor who can do good things if he has a good director around him to go, no, don't do that, do it like this. Like, it can be done. He doesn't have to do silly movies all the time, and he doesn't. And every time he does a really good movie, no one goes to bloody see it. But put him in a superhero movie, he's not going to be allowed to do his Adam Sandler shtick. They're going to make him do actual acting, and I think as The Thing, he could be really good. Okay, Doctor Doom, Viggo Mortensen, but he won't do it. That's the thing. So because he won't do it, get John Hamm.
Yeah, I think my casting's better, but I can see that.
I'm pretty sure it is. As someone who actually knows like the comics better than me, like my exposure to Fantastic Four is the films that have come out, and that's it.
I could see John Hamm doing it though. I could see him in that role. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, I could do it. Yeah, I could dig it. All right, anybody else in your
I got
casting?
nothing else. That's it. Yeah.
All right, anybody else do this
Yeah,
before
like
I
I
go
said,
in?
like I said, I don't know any of these modern actors. Like all the people you name, I'm like, I don't know who these people are. So that's why I always kind of refrain from fan casting, because my thing would be like, yeah, Kim Basinger would be fantastic as Miss Susan Storm, but it's like Kim Basinger's old as shit now, So I'll just refrain from it. I'm just horrible at because I don't really. The only movies I watch are superhero movies, so I'm like, so those guys are already in roles.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just have to bow out of this one because I legit don't know any of these actors or actresses these days.
All right, mine should be a little more engaging.
I will say this though, but I guess this maybe it's a little bit of a misnomer because I don't know these people. I would prefer if they get people who are kind of unknown, so we can put the characters on them. Maybe have Mr. Fantastic be like an actual big star to ground it all, but then like have the others be people we don't actually know, or maybe you kind of sort of know. Kind of like think about it. We didn't know who Hugh Jackman was, right? And now he is Wolverine, so it'd be cool. But at the same time, you also want the other thing where with like Professor Xavier, for like 10 years, we're like, dude, Patrick Stewart needs to be Professor X, and it finally happened. So it would be cool. There was this one guy that people kept saying would be a good Mr. Fantastic, Michael something. I think he's
Michael Cera.
No, I think he's Jack Ryan in the new.
Oh
Jack
no,
Ryan.
it's John Krasinski.
Yeah, that guy looks good. I don't know what he's on, but he looks like Mr. Fantastic. I've never seen that show, so I don't know.
He was in Quiet Place over the last few summers.
And then there's I'm looking at some of these others. I'm like, that looks good. There's this girl, Emily Blunt. I don't know who that
wife.
is. Yeah, she looks good. Yeah, she looks good. So have her. Johnny Storm. I don't know. The thing that's going to be interesting because like you kind of really need somebody with more of a voice than like a. I mean, you do want a big physical presence when he's Ben Grimm, but he needs to just be a voice, and I don't really
Nick Offerman.
know who
There
could
you
do
go.
that. Yeah, who?
Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman.
That's
Oh,
great.
who's that?
Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Do you watch
Alright,
like
so-
television? Like
No, I actually don't. Like, dude, check this out. Falcon, Winter Soldier, and WandaVision are the first TV I've seen since The Witcher and Game of Thrones. And before that, I don't remember what the hell I was watching because to me, most TV is kind of boring and trash. So like, and also, I kind of feel like I'm wasting my time. Like I feel more productive playing a video game than I do just sitting down watching a movie or a television show. But before the Rona happened, I obviously did go to the movies pretty extensively, superhero movies. But because like I don't watch movies at home either. I'm like, if I'm gonna spend 2 hours watching a movie, I'm gonna try to watch I'm gonna play a video game. Although for purposes of podcasting, I did have to watch a certain 4-hour movie that I was not a fan of. But we're not gonna talk about that. Oh God. Oh man.
All right, so like I said,
say, mate, just very quickly, when movies open, go and see A Quiet Place 2. Like I know, really? I know it's a bit of a sell, but like trust me, if it's going to be like there's so many people are going to be going back to cinemas, and you want to see something that like benefits from being in a room with people, and like yeah, it's fun to be in a room with like a superhero crowd where they're all cheering and it's amazing, and you have that epic moment in Endgame. But conversely, it's also amazing to be in a room where everyone is deadly silent, and like any noise is like a pin is like a pin like scraping your eardrum. And like watching A Quiet Place 2 is going to be that. It's going to be so quiet that you can't eat popcorn. And like that experience is going to be like mind-blowing after a year and a half of not being able to go. Trust me on this.
Yeah, it sucks because the movie that would have been perfect. I mean, I know it's in theaters now, but the movie that would have been perfect for that would be Godzilla versus Kong, like big crazy spectacle. The Quiet Room. I'm looking up like, what is this? A horror movie? I never heard of this thing. Like, you like Quiet Room? I'm like, what's a Quiet Room 1?
A Quiet Place.
Quiet Place. I don't know.
It's super simple. It's basically like if you make noise, the monsters will kill you.
Yeah. Okay. So it has monsters. Okay, that's a good sell.
It's a family of 4, and then the wife is pregnant, and they can't make any noise, or the monsters will kill them. And
that sounds like a Doctor Who episode.
That is the entire plot of the film.
It's like the bleeding angel, the weeping angel thing, except
exactly.
opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, look at that! The 2 actors I named are in this movie: Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. Cool.
All right, so I'll rush through this.
Folks, I'm knowledgeable about video games, ignorant when it comes to other shit.
All right, I'll rush through this real quick because I know we're pressed for time here. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Like I said, I ended up writing like the first act of this movie, and I'll include this so you have an idea of where my headspace was. So I would open the film up like in 2009. You see Ben Grimm going off to college on a football scholarship to like Notre Dame. He has like this obsession with like Rudy that would build like a character arc later. He leaves his life behind in New York. He walks into the dorms to find Reed. It was like an eccentric, emancipated 16-year-old. This would be like the scaled down age or de-aging technology on some of these people. Like Reed doesn't like talking about his parents. He chose the only engineering school he could actually get into, like get a scholarship for, because although he's like super smart, he has like 0 extracurriculars, minimal social skills. He's alone. It doesn't know how to apply or anything like that. So he's just kind of there, which is kind of why he gets like his undergrad school. He just goes somewhere he can. And then like Ben kind of remembers like he has his dead brother Daniel who died, and how important it was having a brother. So like for 4 years, you kind of like get this montage of like an odd couple scenario where you have like Ben and Reed and like they're living together, and Reed's like the slob, but he's just all over the place, and Ben's like the traditionalist clean type. You see a montage where they kind of grow up a little bit more. Ben goes in the military, but they never give him a shot to like serve in combat. Reed goes to grad school at Empire University. You see him Skype calling Ben on occasion. They come back, get an apartment in New York. The military contract for Reed. Ben moves out after meeting a girl. Time goes by after a little bit, about 10 years or so. Ben Grimm, played by Jesse Plemons.
He was on my list.
Yeah, I think he would do a very well done, like soft spoken but like rough exterior. You get that definite sense of like tradition, like the good not country boy kind of vibe, but like a good reliable kind of person. You get that kind of feeling from him. I think he'd be a good get for them because especially he's not like a super well known face. For Tony, if you don't know who Jesse Plemons is, if you watch Breaking Bad, he's not
Todd.
Jesse.
Oh, he's Jesse. I know.
No, he's not. He's not Jesse. He's the
Okay.
he's the guy towards the end of the series who kind of like tries to take Jesse's place.
Yeah. Oh, that dude.
That guy.
He kills the kid. He kills the kid on the bike after the train heist.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Okay. I could.
And for Reed, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth on it. I want to do Joseph Gordon-Levitt just because he hasn't done anything really big recently. Or you could do like Steven Yeun because he's going on this big push right now. He's real popular right now doing the Invincible stuff and just doing a couple other things as well. But I can go back and forth between the two of them. The point is I don't want Reed to be the main focus of the series because they always push him to be the main guy. I don't want that to happen in this case. So just someone who kind of sit in the background and just incorporate himself in there, that's fine. So yada yada yada. Yeah, Ben moves out. They have some time together. Reed kind of goes bonkers after not having any real social interaction for a while. Another thing on the other side of the country in California, you see Sue, who's like 10 years old, Johnny, who's like 8 years old, playing outside. Their mom's dead. Dad moved out. They moved to Cali to cope with it. Johnny gets in a fight. Sue rescues him and stops the fighting and pledges to always be there to protect him. She kind of abandons her own personal identity and it kind of becomes the mom of that smaller family unit. Johnny, at that point, is obsessed with Iron Man. Specifically Tony Stark, and he idolizes him. Like he adopts like his personality quirks and that kind of thing. He's like cocky. He's kind of an asshole. He adopts that personality. So flash forward to when they're like adults. I thought Sue to be kind of like the big personality here, so I put Emma Stone in that place, where it's like she would be the kind of not only the binding tissue of the group and the family dynamic, but she would be the main personality, kind of binding the group together. And for Johnny, I got someone who hasn't been around and done anything recently. I got Jake T. Austin.
Who?
Disney Channel.
Well done.
He used to be a Disney Channel. He's like 26 now. He hasn't done anything really at all. He does a little bit of voice acting now.
You have completely stumped me.
I will send you a picture of him.
I know, I'm looking at him right now, and I'm just like nothing. Oh wait, is he like the little kid in Wizards of Waverly Place?
Yep.
Oh my god, that's
he's the
crazy.
Little kid.
Wow.
So, just someone who's cocky. Like I like to have a no-name person there. I wouldn't say he's no name, but he hasn't done anything big. He hasn't really hit the big time yet. So I want to give him.
I think you'll find the star of the Emoji Movie.
I know. Shut up. He has not made a lot of good choices. This would be a good one for him. Anyway, so they fast forward. They remain a pair. Johnny tries to go down the Stark career path, like when he like flunks out of school. He doesn't really care about the whole engineering side of it. He just wants the flair. He doesn't want to work for it though. He likes going after women. Sue studies and gets accepted to Empire University when Reed's in grad school. The key thing though is I want Johnny to be bi, but he hides it because Stark wasn't bi. So he's like not really comfortable showing that side of himself. The thing is, Sue becomes like a logistics coordinator for this experiment. Yada yada yada. Reed's a chief engineer. Johnny's just kind of there. Ben gets hired by Reed to be an assistant, but he like just got broken up with, so he's really uncomfortable with his skin. That's it. I just set that part up. That's the first part there. I have 3 villains for this movie. Mole Man is played by Danny DeVito. It is long overdue. Danny DeVito needs to be in the MCU.
That just works. Can he be as Frank Reynolds as Mole
He needs to
Man?
do the whole Trash Man reference. I'm the Mole Man. Just moles everywhere. Just something stupid.
I've got to get into this boys' hole.
Submariner. I want Submariner in here. If they don't plan to do a lot of stuff with them, get Keanu.
Ooh, okay.
Get Keanu
Very
Reeves as
interesting.
Submariner, but he's like 60 years old almost now. So like if you want to make him a franchise, there's not a lot of long-term potential there. But I had William Lee instead from Hawaii Five-0, but whatever. That's the sub thing. Doctor Doom though, Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
Oh, that's damn good.
Good. Yep.
That's damn good.
I'm with it. I'm with it, man.
For reference, guy from Game of Thrones, Jaime Lannister.
Oh, and he has an accent too, so that'd be perfect, you know, because he's from Eastern Europe. That'd be crazy. Yeah, I'm with it.
Central Europe, sir.
Yeah.
My typical, like, this is also based on
He's
if they
from
wanted
Denmark.
franchise potential. If you don't want him to like be a major franchise person, I got Rufus Sewell on there from Father. I thought he'd do okay, but Nikolai Coster-Waldau is my first pick. He hasn't done anything lately, and breaking in the MCU would be a pretty good move. So,
Yeah, man, totally.
That would, especially because, like, this. I just want to interject really quickly. Like, Doom is going to be really important. Doom is going to be like one of the next big scale villains to set up. Like, they got to get him right.
Yep. And like the whole point, like the reason why I even bothered writing down the Act 1 in particular is it sets up power dynamics, and that their powers that they get are just extensions of who they are. And that's all it is. Because I really hate at least lately, I hate the whole element focus of like, oh, they all represent different elements. I hate that. I'd rather it be like it's just extensions of who they are. Like Reed's about elasticity, about representing his mind's potential and ability to innovate and being flexible in that capacity. Ben is about being sturdy and dependable and a symbol of tradition and feeling. Like the part that I hate about every film representation of Ben, they never mention that he's Jewish. They never mention about anything about like, oh yeah, I'm from New York. They never mention that. They just kind of like wash over it.
And like we all know, people from New York let you know they're from New York. Tony, come on, you can.
Yeah, I do it all the time, man.
Yeah,
they either say that or they tell people inexplicably that they're walking there.
Yeah,
true.
All right. So then like Johnny is like the fire represents like his coming out in particular. Oh, the big thing too, I wanted to have it be whenever Johnny sees a Submariner, instead of doing the whole Submariner wants to take over New York and take Sue Storm hostage. I wanted to be rather that Human Torch is attracted to Submariner and is dealing with the fact that he realizes that he's bi. Like, oh, okay, just something different. I don't like the whole creepy capture rape fantasy thing that goes on with Submariner and Sue.
I think in particular for Johnny, like changing it up like that would be really interesting, because otherwise, and they would still need to keep this, obviously Johnny is such a big picture of like masculine, can't even talk, like he's a man's man. He's big into motorcycles, women, that sort of thing, but like grappling with that, I don't know, I think you're onto something is the point I'm making. All
right, so we're gonna throw it to the side for now. Sony. We got a lot of news, but before we get started on that, there's some smaller Xbox stuff that came out. I say smaller, but in terms of the big news stuff, it's smaller in the large scheme of things. They announced that they're getting some more FPS boosted titles are coming out to Xbox now, like Dead Island, Dying Light, several others. Those are the ones that stood out to me in particular. All the Far Cry games from 4 onward, so they're all at least 60 frames per second. So that's cool. That's all I wanted to mention. Just get that out of the way. So there's a lot of stuff. Sam, I'm going to hand this off to you for a moment. Can you walk us through all the stuff that Sony announced today?
Yeah, so we've kind of had a 1-2 of Sony stuff. One of them was one they announced, and then one of them is the stuff that's coming out from the court case. But we'll get into that later. Yeah. So the big thing Sony announced is and I have to give this as a preface. Everyone remembers all the big talks a couple of weeks ago about Microsoft looking to buy Discord, right? Like we all heard that. We all heard that was being reported, that sort of thing. Okay. Well, it comes out today that Sony has made a minority stake investment into Discord. Discord is staying public, but like just like they did with Epic, Sony purchased like a small percentage or whatever, and they've announced it's going to have deeper integration with PlayStation. The official press release is vague on the specifics. They don't really have any bullet points of what they're going to do, just talk about bringing the communities together, whether it be messaging or having fun or just hanging out. But yeah, Discord is coming to PlayStation. The timing of this is interesting, though, because it's going to be happening early next year. So the actual integration is kind of a ways off. It's a little early considering when they're announcing it. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts. I mean, who am I kidding? Ivan, I know you have thoughts.
I'm going to shut up and let Tony talk first.
All right, yeah, I was going to say, since you're our guest, Tony, do you have any thoughts about this?
I think it's cool because here's the thing: we use Discord for everything. Ooh, what are we using right now? We're using Discord, right? So I think it's really cool that it's going to be integrated into PlayStation. Not that there's anything like particularly wrong with like PlayStation party chats. I think they're fine, but just the fact that there are so many more people on Discord, right? It just like we'll just open it up and we can have more people on during streams and stuff. So obviously we still got to wait a year to see how this really functions, but I'm really excited about the potential it has. Just like, cause even though I don't stream very often of video games, I do use Discord to talk. So it'll be cool that I don't have to do that. You know, like use Elgato and all this other shit. Like it'll just be all on PlayStation, and so that'll be good. But I would like more details. That's why I can't give too many more thoughts on it because I don't like speculation. But I think it's cool, and yeah, this does answer the question. Like, why didn't Discord go with Microsoft? Because they were going to go with Sony. Obviously, Sony didn't buy them; they're just partnered or whatever. But I think it's cool. I think there's a lot of potential there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
James, do you have any impressions on this? I know we all use Discord here. You guys don't know we do the show through Discord, so we like Discord.
Yeah, Discord is fantastic.
We are paid for by Sony to say that. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of this scene as much as the other people. Like Discord's a thing that I use to talk to you guys and play D&D and record podcasts. I don't use it as a gaming tool. Because that's just not really how I play. I'm a single player dude with the occasional game of Apex every now and then I play on private. I play on my own, just going into random parties. I just saw that the only thing that jumped to me was the timing of when it's being integrated, which is like early 2022. And the only reason that sparked a thing to me, I mentioned it in our group chat, was that it made sense to me in that they're trying to get as many people after the holiday season where hopefully a bunch more people have got PS5s, and then they can go, and also for those people who just got the new console, here's a way that you can talk to your friends in a really convenient way. Here, That's the only thing that jumped out to me. It made sense from a business point of view. Those are my 2 cents.
All right, Sam, you want to go first? You want me to go? I'm just going to be counterpointing all of you, so you know that.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, Ivan and I talked about this on the phone earlier today. You know, Ivan and I talk almost every day, and basically his opinion is just going to be wrong after everything I say, just to get it out there right now. So I'll go, and then I'll let you say wrong. Is that fair, Ivan? You
sure.
Good with that?
I'll save my wrongs off for the end, though.
Okay, all right. Well, here we go. So I think, much like Tony, I don't want to speculate too much, but I do think there's a few things you can read into this. One of them, obviously, it's just cool. Being able to talk across PlayStation and PC with Discord is going to be really cool. I think that makes a lot of sense. Discord is where we hang out, especially due to the pandemic, right? Especially due to the last year. Everyone is just hanging out on Discord. Everyone's using it. Makes total sense as an investment for SIE. I think, this is my conspiracy theory, they're doing this because PlayStation is going to be putting their multiplayer, and I emphasize the word multiplayer here, just so I don't get clipped or whatever, their multiplayer games on PC day and date with PlayStation. Think about it. That way you can have cross-chat between PlayStation and PC. You don't have to work on like pulling over the PlayStation client and being like, oh, okay, we're going to put our own app on PC and all that. Like, no, you can just do it through Discord. There you go. If I'm on my PlayStation, my PS5, and then James is on his PC, we can just hop in a call together and play The Last of Us Factions 2 or whatever the case may be. I think that makes a lot of sense. That I know it's a little conspiracy territory, but I think that would be really cool of them to work in, and it would just it would just work, especially if that's where their business is going to be going. Ivan, I know you have a different opinion, so why don't you take it away?
All right, so here's my thing. I'm going to preface this by saying this part first. If it was so easy to do integration with Discord and PlayStation, how come they haven't done it yet? How come they have to wait until the next year to do it? See, my whole
Can I
point.
answer? Because I already have an answer for that. It's deals, man. It's all about deals. Like you can't just have it just happen one day. They have to finalize shit behind the scenes, sign contracts, exchange money. So like these things don't just happen overnight. So you can't be like, why does it just happen? It's like, no, there's a lot of stuff going on. That's probably why we still have to wait a year. So I don't like saying like, oh, it should have already been there if it was easy. It's like, no, maybe it is easy, maybe it's not. We don't know that. That's why I don't like jumping.
I have a reason behind it. I have a thought process behind it.
All right.
My whole thing is if it's a simple integration like that, if it was such an easy thing to do, they would have done it a while ago. I mean, everyone else under the sun's already done integration with Discord anyway.
That's assumption. You don't know that.
Well, if they just announced it now, why are they waiting until next year to do it? Because it's just a simple integration.
Again, you probably have to, again, there's contracts and this other stuff. Again, you're free to your opinion. It just sounds like too much speculation and too much, like you're just assuming too much, Well,
I'm assuming that all the words in their press release is just fluff. I personally think that this particular announcement is it's a regular integration situation, that it's not anything special. There's not like an exclusivity deal or anything like that. It's just, hey, we're going to take advantage of this opportunity and announce it because of the optics of it and the timing more than anything else. Because right now, as we've all known, Sony has not been doing great, at least in the media sphere, with the exception of Returnal reviews recently. But they've needed some sort of turnaround because Xbox has been dominating the last few months of news coverage. It's been positive, and PlayStation's had just negative story coming out one after another, and it's not been a great look. But specifically having Microsoft be turned down for $10 billion.
Mate, they might be dominating news cycle, but like the PS5 is really outselling the Xbox.
Yeah.
Do we have any specifics yet? At least in terms of the actual units sold yet?
Yeah, 7.8 million.
Yeah, 7.8 million PS5s. We don't know how many Xboxes. It's not as many. It is worth pointing out that every PlayStation or Xbox being made right now is being sold.
Yeah. So
a console comes in, console comes out. Seems like PlayStation has a bit of a better supply chain going on. That's what we know. Yeah.
So like I said, I don't have hard numbers, so I don't speculate on that. This is how I've always been. So at least in this instance, I think this was them making an opportunity to do what they did like E3 2016, where it's like, hey, I know this is really early, but we're going to announce it now because the optics will look good. And they're hoping we'll forget about it a year from now. I think this is more strictly just that they're announcing it and just kind of leaving the fluff portion of the press release to get people to think something else necessarily, but like say, oh, it's open. We just want to connect all the universes and everything cool. Like, I mean, Xbox did a similar press release back 3 years ago. I posted a link to it. The only difference was they were very clear what they were going to do. They told everybody exactly what they were going to do. So I just don't look at it as like this super exclusive thing. I've been talking to a couple different people about it, and like this also not just the timing of it, but like from Discord's point of view. Think about it. They're trying to go public, and no one knows how much Discord is worth. And they made Microsoft basically go out there, offer $10 billion, and use that as a starting point of how much they think the company is worth. And before they go public, try to increase their size as much as possible. And so if they do this next year before they want to go public, that increases their user base, which would increase their value. I I think this is what they're using it for. I don't think that there's any special deal between Sony and them, at least in terms of like if they are going to do some sort of integrated chat app. I don't think it's exclusive to Sony or anything like that.
I have an issue. Like, I'm not saying it's exclusive. Like, I do think you're correct on that. We can't say it's exclusive because we don't know the terms of their deal. Like, they may bring Discord integration into Xbox or Nintendo's, which let's be real here, they're not going to bring it to Nintendo Switch. Who are we kidding?
Nope.
Nintendo's like, what? Skype? What's that?
Saying, I'm just exactly. But Xbox, there's no reason they can't bring it to Xbox. So that, let's not speculate. But I will push back on you saying, well, then why haven't they done it before? It could be no different than the other deals. Yeah, but the other deals, whether it's Spotify or Reddit or the very limited way Xbox is on it right now, they didn't invest in the company either. I don't think you can ignore that. Like, they did take it. Sony took out a minority stake. That's not the same as owning. It's true, but it's also not the same as just making an agreement. Like, money has been exchanged here. They're going to get something deeper than, hey, your friend is playing The Last of Us Part 3 on PS5. Like, it's going to be more than that. It has to be more than that. I feel very safe speculating that. But, you know.
But hey, I would love for that to have an integrated chat app. I mean, me more than anybody else, I mean, I use Discord all the time. It's not uncommon that we'll be playing on Xbox, but I'm like also doing D&D stuff, and I'm talking to other people all the time. I would love for there to be an integrated chat app across all the platforms. But like I said, if it's an exclusive deal, wouldn't you think Sony would have said something about exclusivity now? Like just something? That's why I'm kind of like, okay. Like if it's something exclusive or something worth beating your chest about, it's got to be a little more concrete than that.
Does anybody really beat their chest about this? Oh, stupid fanboys. Never mind. I answered my own question. Yeah, but no, you're right. It's like
unfortunately, I mean, if you ask the question, you can find someone. That's just how it is, Tony.
Yeah, no, but you're right about that. It's like we shouldn't assume it's like exclusive either. That we don't have that information, so we shouldn't just assume that either. You know.
That's why I, in this particular case, I'm not making any assumptions about how deep the integration is going to be or anything like that because there are no concrete details. As far as I am concerned, it's the regular integration like everyone else has already got. So, Anything else? Discussion-wise,
we will
go to the next topic?
2022. We'll revisit this early next year then.
Yeah.
Yep. If I'm wrong, you're more than welcome to beat me over the coals. Like say, aha! We knew it early.
Yep.
As everyone knows on this show, we hold grudges. We don't forget.
Uh-oh.
All right. Sam,
yes,
next Sony news.
I remember holding a grudge for 4 years and it paid off.
I still remember the one you kept joking like every single year. You were like, oh, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is going to be at E3.
No, that was 1 year. I did it 1 year, but I did it for every conference. And then it happened.
All right,
something, typewriters, monkeys, works of Shakespeare. That's all I have to say on that. Okay. So this last topic, I want to touch on very briefly, simply because information is still coming out. So, like, this is going to be something that updates on the hourly or at the very least daily. But it's big enough to talk about. Everyone knows the whole Epic versus Apple case is going on. And if you didn't know somehow, then congratulations, you know. But ironically, that's not the interesting part of this court case. The interesting part of this court case is the deposition and the fact that a lot of industry emails and industry deals that are usually super top secret and only seen by a few people are coming out. There's a lot of video game industry tea being spilled. If you want a very in-depth breakdown, I suggest you go follow Rebecca Valentine at IGN or what's going on here in the play-by-play. But one of the bigger parts that just came out is that Tim Sweeney, CEO of Epic Games, has stated under oath at the court that Sony is the only corporation charging for crossplay.
And you can't say he's lying about that. He's under oath. He can go to prison if he lied. And yeah. Sam, do you want to clarify what this is exactly, or do you want me to?
It's I'll try and clarify, but honestly, it's a complicated mathematical breakdown. Like the nutshell version that you need to know is it has to do with microtransaction revenue splits. Basically, there's a special deal that Sony made Epic sign where microtransaction revenue has to stay above a certain threshold, and if it drops below that threshold, they are owed money. They're thinking, I presume, I want to be clear here, this is not stated in the court document, this is just me trying to apply common sense to what the thinking here. The thinking here, I assume, has to be with crossplay, we could be losing out on some microtransaction money because people might not be buying the microtransactions on our platform. I assume that's why that deal is in here, but that's my speculation. But it is hard fact that it's based on a revenue split, and the actual model they use is kind of complicated.
Yeah, it's very. All right, I want to ask this to Tony in particular here. This news kind of broke after a little bit. I want to get your impressions on this. What did you think about it?
Yeah, again, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not good with numbers, so I don't really have too much to say. I do think it's kind of interesting, and I would really like somebody to like come out and explain why it's good. Sam, I like your theory. That kind of seems like it's logical to me, but I really wonder because it's odd, isn't it? I'm like, wait, what? Really? And is this why Sony was
yeah.
So that's my main thing. I'm confused by it because why would Sony need to do this? And is this the reason why Sony didn't want crossplay to begin with? Remember, there was that big hoopla a couple of years ago during E3 when Sony was like the only entity out there that was like, no, we don't want crossplay. And at that time, they were talking about how they were doing it to protect their gamer base, but maybe it wasn't because of that. Maybe it was because they wanted to cut. So it could be that. Again, I don't really have any. I'm not an insider. I don't know anything about this sort of stuff, but I would just like to know why. Because on the surface, as a layman, it seems really fishy.
Yeah, I don't. I understand the idea of oh yeah, you're the market leader, you're in charge. I get it. I understand that thought process, but hey, you're also the market leader. If people are most likely already on your system, right? It wouldn't hurt for you to allow this sort of thing to happen. It just
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird. It must be some contractual thing or something, and like Sam said, maybe they just didn't meet that certain threshold. But again, just as a layman, it's just very odd.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on sharing too much of my personal opinion because I think more is going to come out over time.
Yeah,
right. I think more from this court case. We're going to get more documents. We should, at least we should. I hope so, because there's a lot of other stuff. There's a ton of other topics we're not even able to touch on here due to time. Like how many people are actually buying games on the Epic Game Store. That tea's being spilled. There's a ton of juicy details here. It's really good. But I will say right now, very limited impressions. Maybe don't beat your chest about finally allowing crossplay if you are charging people for it. And then on top of that, if you are charging some publishers, but worst case scenario, if they aren't charging others, you really don't want that information being made public. And I wonder what companies are going to be negotiating with Sony, now knowing that they charge Epic Games, at least Epic Games. And you have to assume others, right? If Fortnite is one of the biggest games in the world.
Activision probably.
Activision has to be paying. They have to be. I would be very surprised if I can't remember the people who do Smite and Realm Royale and Paladins, but I would assume that they have to pay. So you have to wonder.
Apex crossplay as well, so probably Electronic Arts.
Yeah, Apex Legends. Yeah, EA, Electronic Arts. You have to wonder what those negotiations look like. I imagine that there are some ugly conversations and some ugly calls being made to lawyers right now. That's what I'll say.
Because the emails that are coming out, they had one from Gio Corsi, and I don't if you use any individual sentence doesn't come off really rude, but the tone of the email is F you. It just comes off really rude. It just I don't know. I read it and I tried to read it okay, I was at work when I first read it, and I read it afterwards, and I get the same kind of tone. It's so man, they have actual so the funny part is they have all of these emails. And
Yeah.
just there's no way you could spin it.
But I do have a question for you guys though. How does this affect us? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking about this. I'm like, wait, because a lot, every time we hear about these kind of like weird, shady deals or whatever, it usually impacts us in a negative way. But I'm like, wait, how does this affect us really? I can't answer that. Like, I don't think it does, to be honest.
I don't think it affects
It
us in a
definitely
direct
doesn't.
way where we could point and say, "See, look, that's what happened." But like, okay, here's an example. So let's say, trying to think of a game that's smaller, like a smaller game.
Rocket League.
No, I can't use Outriders because that's Square. Okay, yeah, we'll use Rebellion as an example. Let's say Sniper Elite 4, or sorry, 5 rather. Sniper Elite 5 wants to come out and they want to do cross-play co-op. You think Rebellion's got money to pay that?
No,
Pay to
of course
Sony?
not.
No.
Yeah.
So that limits their possibilities and their options there. But like that stuff we're never gonna see. Rebellion's never gonna come out and say like, Sony, they're charging us for crossplay. We can't afford that. That makes them look bad. It makes it look like they
Yeah.
can't afford anything, and so they don't want their investors to know about that either. So these are things we would never see, but would directly affect us. Like I wouldn't be able to play Sniper Elite 5 with my friends on another system, but we would never know that was even on the table in that case.
Yeah, so we wouldn't affect us. And with this case, it's kind of like when Apple and Epic would fight each other. It's like, okay, you have these two big corporations that you don't like. You don't like either of them. So I'm like, okay, let them duke it out. Whatever. Who cares? You know. So and then in this
Godzilla,
case,
let them
like,
fight.
yeah, exactly. And then in this case, and I hate to sound like an asshole, but I got to do it. It's like, okay, so Epic has to pay more money. Boo hoo. It's Epic. They got money. They got Fortnite. You know.
Oh yeah. No,
So,
and like,
yeah.
right now, Tony, here's what I'll say. I agree with Ivan. I think there's a bigger question for like how this affects small devs and small publishers. That's where my concern would be. But like in terms of Epic, Apple, Sony, who's paying who, I'm kind of just sitting here like sipping a cold beer, eating popcorn because I just think it's funny that all this dirt comes up, and it's like a lot of you probably didn't want the other to see this, or you were hoping that this deal wouldn't show up here. I think it's funny and interesting to watch all this stuff because this industry is so secretive. So much data gets hidden, so many deals we never know about. So I think it's fun to watch.
I have a follow-up question for you guys, actually. We're pressed for time. I just want to ask this. I'm sorry I cut you off, Sam. The question is, do you find it weird that Microsoft and Sony are potentially moving to appease Epic already? So what I mean by this is that they had the announcement last week that Microsoft was going to be lowering the take that they have on the Windows Store for their PC games from like 30% to like 12%, which is closer to what Epic's doing. So it's like, okay, they're lowering that, the price of the cost of entry fee, they're lowering that for publishers, which is a strange thing to do out of the middle of nowhere. But at the same time, now supposedly Sony's inviting Discord onto their platform. Because isn't that like the ultimate point of what Epic's argument is that 30% is too expensive, and that if they win, either Apple would have to lower that cost, or they would potentially have to allow competitors to their own in-house programs on their systems and platforms. You would have to allow the Epic Game Store on Apple devices, which could extend to everywhere else too. You would have to allow Steam on Xbox if such a thing existed. You would have to allow another platform on PlayStation.
I get where you're going, but I just want to cut you off because Tim Sweeney has actually already said that he doesn't believe that consoles should. He's actually, and I'm not saying I agree with him or I disagree with him, but he has come out and said that he doesn't think Sony or Microsoft should change because Sony and Microsoft, he says, curate a storefront and they curate a console entertainment experience for video games, whereas computers are computers and phones are phones and they are used for everything. That's his statement.
I'm saying there's potential there because in this case they're ruling from the bench. If the judge decides they want to get crazy with it, They're gonna get crazy with it. But it all depends on who the judge is and what their knowledge is, at least in terms of technology is. So who knows?
Well, if they're used to getting crazy, let's ask their opinion on like the lacrimosity of doves. That was a Prince joke for those who didn't get it. I'm very tired.
I know for you it's like what? It's about 1:00 now.
Yep.
Yep, I know it's late for you. That's why I moved the show.
This is normally when we start shows.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on this topic before we move on? I know there's a lot to do.
It doesn't surprise me that people are trying to appease Epic, because Fortnite is a true juggernaut, at the scale of which we haven't really seen like this since Minecraft. But this seems way more pervasive. So of course you're going to appease the company that are in charge of it. Minecraft were basically an indie development company that could just like. That were just weird on the surface that grew to be something great. Fortnite came out of the gate storming, and like, yeah, be nice to the guys who made that, because if you have them on your platform, you're gonna make a bunch.
All right. I believe it's time for Falcon and Winter Soldier spoiler cast. Sam, I know you got to go.
Is it though?
You want to stick around for this? Take about 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, I really got to go. Sorry,
Okay.
guys, I got to hop off. So
I feel like this will be pretty short, honestly, for this portion here. But Sam, where can people find you, sir?
yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's TOLBERT. Currently doing a stint over at Tech Radar, helping those folks over with their news and whatnot. Also reporting at Windows Central.
All right. And so we're going to go get started here. So that's a brief moment for you guys to get out of here. If you're not going to talk about if you're not going to listen to Winter Soldier spoilers, like it's going to be more of like a quick little, what do we think about the series overall? What are we excited for in the future kind of thing. So I'm just kind of talking, giving people time for a minute, be able to get out of here. While we're waiting for that, our little plug here. This show is sponsored by Lost Ark Video Games. It's a local gaming shop here in Greensboro, North Carolina. They have a couple things, like they have, it's an actual video game shop, but they also have like an actual arcade, which should be opening up soon. So if you're in the Greensboro, Winston-Salem, North Carolina area, this is the place to go for all your gaming stuff. They got Kuji stuff, they got Gundam stuff, they got D&D junk, they got merchandise from all over. They got crazy things if you're interested. So please support local game shops. This is the one in my area. You're more than welcome to go check them out. If you have other ones that are interested in doing something like that, just let us know. We're not getting paid for this. We don't care about it. We just want to support local game shops, especially as COVID regulations are now opening up, and they've had about a year of minimal to no business. So places need help. So, all right, I think that's enough time. So, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Good, bad, meh? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the show was pretty much what I wanted it to be, because here's the thing. I liked WandaVision, but for me, the show didn't click until the halfway point, maybe a little further in, because the whole sitcom stuff was corny. I didn't like it. When it just went into full widescreen mode, as I'll call it, that's when it got really good. But Falcon and Winter Soldier, it took like a minute. I was like, okay, this is legit right now. Action-packed, a lot of good character moments. It really felt like a movie. They did a really good job, and obviously, the big payoff was what we all expected, that Sam became the new Captain America. But it was weird, because I remember, like, I thought he was already Captain America by the end of Endgame, but they had to do a whole season of that. We saw the whole thing with Bucky was really good. His whole just dealing with the aftermath of him being the Winter Soldier for like 60 years or whatever, and I wasn't a big fan of the Flag Smashers per se. I thought they were kind of like corny. Like their whole goal was like, they wanted to unite the world or whatever. It's like, the world's different now. We got to go back to the way things were before the snap. I don't like calling it the blip, by the way. I like the snap. So. Yeah. I didn't like them too much, but my favorite character of the whole series is the guy everybody hates. I love John Walker, man. He was so cool, because he was one of those guys like you're rooting for him to do the right thing, but you know he's gonna mess it up, and he's gonna mess things up in the most spectacular way possible, and he always did. And I will admit, I'm a fan of U.S. Agent from the comic books for the same reason. So that's why when I saw him on screen, I'm like, oh shit, it's U.S. Agent, let's go. And like his whole story arc was just so cool because you don't really see a lot of MCU heroes like that. Like this guy's like messed up. I didn't like how like abruptly they ended his storyline. Like it was a little bit too cheery. They ended too fast, but up until that point, up until the end, it was so cool, man. But overall, I don't know if you guys do scores or anything, but I would give this like a good 8 out of 10. There was a couple of things I wasn't a fan of. One particular thing, but they did kind of justify it in the end, was episode 5, right? Everybody, like a lot of people really liked it. I didn't like that episode too much, not only because there wasn't too much action, but because I didn't really like what Isaiah. Okay, here's the thing. I liked what Isaiah said to Sam. It was justified, but I didn't like that Sam didn't push back against him. It's like, yes, black people have had this horrible situation in America, but things have changed. Things have gotten better. I'm a superhero. He didn't say that, but obviously in episode 6, he's like, yeah, I am Captain America. People accept me. And even Isaiah was like, all right, great, you are Captain America. And then we got his the end of his story arc where we finally gave him recognition. That was good. But aside from, I just wanted Sam to push back in episode 5. But other than that, and some of the boat stuff, I thought was a little corny. It was a great series, very action packed, high budget. Great acting. The visuals look fantastic. So overall, I was very, very happy with it. I thought it was great.
James, as our local film critic.
I acknowledge everything you said, and I agree with most of it. And you make very valid points, and I'm not going to say like you're wrong because that's a stupid thing to say. But I disagree on just about everything you said. I literally, and like for the reasons that you said, I don't like it. Like, first of all, I don't think the show should have been released weekly. I think you described it perfectly. You said like it felt like a movie. Great, release it all in one day as a streaming dump. WandaVision. I've talked in the show how much I adored WandaVision. It's fastly becoming, if not my favorite thing that the MCU have done, period. I adored how weird it was. I wish it actually told us less things. What you're seeing here is the exact opposite kind of people who watch content. Like, I'm the person who consumes stuff at an alarming rate of all different kinds of different genres and stuff. And like you admitted yourself earlier, you mostly go to the cinema to watch the big superhero stuff, which is, I'm not having a go at you for that. I'm just saying, of course, you'll come at it from a different angle than I will. Regarding John Walker, I think that character is one of the most muddled and confusing characters that the MCU has put out. Obviously, the point is that they want us to root for him, but I never did. And I don't know if that's me being, I love Steve Rogers and no one will ever be Steve Rogers, and calling yourself Captain America doesn't make you Captain America. The Game of Thrones line, if you have to call yourself the king, you are not the king. And like, you end a series, one of the best moment of the show for me is John's reaction to the death of his friend. What's his name? Anyone got it?
What's his face?
Battlestar, but I don't remember what his name is. Something Hoskins.
Yeah. Like, that's the moment that we see the true John Walker, like what the military has built this person is. Like, they touch on it, but they can't insult the military too bad, because there's a whole rule with the US military that if you put them in your film, you can't make them the bad guy. You can't make them explicitly the bad guy. They heavily hint that the reason John Walker failed is the fault of the US military, and we see that when Battlestar dies, and John just fucking loses it, and you see just how much he cares. And that's the most powerful moment of that show, the image of the blood on the shield. And I just thought, oh man, where are we going to go from here? And then they just, I don't know what it is, they just bottled it for me. And it really bothered me. And the final episode, I should have. I was really into episode Truth, which is the episode 5. I am one of the people that think it's great, mostly because it is just talking. I love a good action scene, but you don't need them all the time. And I don't know, the show disappointed me. If I was to rank it, I'd put it, a 4 or 5. It really, really let down for me. And I don't really, I sort of know why, but I can't properly articulate it. It's going to take me like a pen and a paper to rewatch it again to really know why it didn't get under my skin the way that other shows in the MCU or films have.
Yeah.
I think visually it's relatively quite dull, apart from the Falcon action scenes. The opening one is fantastic. It's a great start. We talked about this on the show. And the scene with him and the helicopter at the end of the series, you have a parallel, and that's great stuff. I don't like the suit. I think it's not good at all. I think it's going to change by the time we see the next film, like they did with Captain America in the difference between the first Avenger and Winter Soldier and the Avengers. Yeah, across the board, I didn't think it was that great. I didn't really like Sharon Carter. I think the reveal of her being the power broker, it was fun. It just
Worst
it
kept
did
secret.
sort of.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's sort of like it came out of nowhere, and it was like, oh, this is supposed to be a reveal. All right, yeah, all right, cool.
Ooh, surprise.
Yeah, and Zemo, love Daniel Bruhl. I think he's a great addition. I think I love the buddy cop relationship of Sam and Bucky anyway, and then having this guy who's just like constantly agreeing with one of them, and they just like. I like sounded it perfectly. Yeah, he's out of order, but he is correct. Like that dynamic for me was brilliant. Yeah, it had moments. It had moments of brilliance, but then a lot of it was overshadowed by just the response of me on my couch going, "What?" And yeah, and they had Erin Kellyman, who played Carly Morgenthau. She was in Solo. She was like the freedom fighter in Solo. She played the same character.
Yeah. I knew she looked familiar, but I couldn't peg her. I was like,
yeah, she's Enfys Nest. She's the person who's like the freedom fighter who ends up starting a resistance. She's done it twice.
Wow.
Maybe they could have done something different with her. Yeah. It's disappointing because I wanted it to be great. But I think I think a lot of it is just I'm the kind of person, I love horror films, I love weird stuff, I love science fiction. So of course WandaVision appealed to me. And like Loki looks like the exact kind of weird show for me. So it could just be the case, like I'm a person who just likes weird stuff. And after all the weird stuff we've had in the MCU, that's all I want. And I'm very happy to take that place. But there you go.
Yeah, I can see that for you. I totally see that, actually.
I mean, no wonder the thing I'm most excited for than anything in the MCU is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Like, it says Multiverse in it, which obviously I like because it's the greatest show on Mondays, but also because that title is a pun on an H.P. Lovecraft book. So, like, they're gonna do something with it, and it's gonna be weird, and I am so here for it. I think that, like, I legitimately think that, well, first of all, Bruce Campbell is going to have a cameo in it because Sam Raimi puts Bruce Campbell in all of his movies. I think Bruce Campbell is going to be Ash.
That would be really funny. I saw the
to turn up
scene thing they put in there. It sounds like they're heavily implying it.
I am almost convinced that he's going to show up for like 3 seconds, say, "This is my boomstick," and then someone's going to be like, "Well, that's really unrealistic," and then he's going to go off the screen. There's going to be that, but I love it.
Yes. All right. So, anything else you want to add before we head out of here? Then we're a little over time for most people. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have anything more to say about the show. I do agree. Like I said, I wish they didn't rush it at the end. But I will. It's kind of cool, James, because you're like the opposite of me, which is really cool because I hate binging. It's like I'm like I like it. I like shows that come out every week. Give me time to process up every episode. Maybe that's because of the way I grew up. But even when like a show is all presented to you at once, I try to watch it just like an hour a day or something because I cannot stand binging.
No,
so I'm good. Yeah,
genuinely, I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But my thing is that, like,
good.
the way that this show was structured, because there were only 6 episodes, as opposed to WandaVision, which had 10 or 9, and they were a normal TV half hour WandaVision, so it felt more traditional to have it in that way. But Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was supposed to be the first of the MCU shows released.
Yeah.
So it's the one that you have to like get the streaming crowd in before you get the weird stuff, and so it felt like a show that had been built to watched in like 2 or 3 days. And especially because like the timeline of the show is so condensed into like what, a week, 2 weeks. Like you can watch it really close together and get a really clear sense. Like if you try and watch a bunch of WandaVision episodes together, you will sort of lose your brain because there's so much in there. You need time apart. Whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier, it could have been done. That they just dumped it all in one day, and people, they took a week to watch it and then they talked about it. But yeah. But I agree with you. I much prefer stuff being released weekly.
Yeah. That's interesting what you said about WandaVision, because I didn't feel that way until like maybe episode 5 or whatever. Because I'm like the first 3 episodes, I'm like, there's nothing happening on this fucking show. When is this gonna start? But again, you could tell I'm an action guy. Like I don't really like that whole sitcom stuff. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, can we just get to the good MCU stuff already? That's what I want to see here. Yeah. And Falcon Winter Soldier gave me that, but I do agree that the episode 6 was rushed, and even though because you're right, it's like John Walker had this really awesome moment with the bloody shield and everything, legit, right? And then they kind of just brush it off, like everything's fine. I was like, he just made America look really bad in front of everybody, dude. Like he should suffer something for it, It's
one of the few times that like they've actually acknowledged the consequences of someone's actions, other than like blowing Sokovia. The only like he gets a court martial and he gets removed from the army and. Not a dishonorable service, but like it's sketchy at best.
Yeah, so they could have handled it, but I do want to see him come back. Because again, like I said, I'm biased. I like the character in the comics already. So, and I like the actor who I didn't know it was Kurt Russell's son. I'm like, oh, maybe that's why I like the guy, because I like Kurt Russell. So, like, I could see that Kurt Russellness in there,
Especially the courtroom scene, you could really feel like, oh, I know who this guy is now.
Yep.
Right. The perfect thing that you need to watch, Tony, is an episode of Black Mirror called Playtest.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
I've only seen one Black Mirror episode because my friend, he knows I don't watch too much TV. He's like, you got to watch this episode. It was like an hour and a half long episode. I forgot what it was about, but it was good.
Okay.
But Playtest.
You need to watch this episode. Yeah. You need to watch the episode called Playtest. One, because Wyatt Russell is in it.
Okay, that's already you already got me sold.
And it's about a guy who's stuck in the UK who takes a job at a games company testing out a new VR game.
Okay.
And you've seen an episode of Black Mirror, so it's not going to exactly be a nice ending.
Yeah, the episode I saw was kind of virtual reality-ish.
You as a gamer will like this.
Cool. All right, I'll check that out then.
It's basically like if they put Resident Evil 7 as a VR experience.
Oh, God. That's awesome. All right, I'll definitely check that out, man. That sounds awesome.
All right, so we'll do our outros and get out of here. James, where can the good people find you, sir?
The good people and the bad people and everyone in between can find me on Twitter at James_S Wilson, on Instagram at James Wilson with 2 S's and 2 L's. I'm on TikTok, but like I don't really do anything. I'm mostly just like just follow other people and watch D&D stuff. But yeah, it's been lovely talking, and I love talking movies and films, and I'm excited because movies come back really, really soon. The cinemas open in 13 days in the UK. 13 days. We've got the new Saw film coming out. We've got Nomadland getting a cinema release. I'm so excited to go back. And I'm happy to be talking to you all about it next week.
Right. And Tony, where can good people find you, sir?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you guys again for having me on. It's a lot of fun. It's good to mix up gaming and pop culture, which is always a lot of fun. So yeah, you can find me over on Twitter at Romudeth. That's ROMUDETH. And in my bio, you can see links to all the places I write for. I write for PC Mag and Laptop Mag, and I also host the Throwdown Show podcast every Thursday and Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Thursday is when we cover all the big gaming news of that week, and Sunday is when we answer fan questions. And it's a lot of fun. And you can also find us on literally any podcast app on the planet. Throwdown Show. And yeah, that's it. Just and follow me on Twitter. But if you talk nonsense, you will get blocked. So just be warned. But if you're cool, I'll definitely be up for a conversation. That's what it's all about.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning into the show. We do appreciate you guys coming and supporting us every single week. We got a lot of things we got to cover, and we got places to be. I'm Anchorman V2. You can find me on Xbox, Anchorman V2, playing Fallout 76 a lot lately, so you guys can hop on there. I know we got a couple of people I got to Sherpa through, so that'll be a lot of fun tonight. You can find me on Twitter at Multiverse Show, and pretty much everywhere else, Anchorman V2. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to the greatest show on Mondays. We do appreciate your support every single week, and hope you guys have a great